Hello. How's it
Hi.
going, Pilot?
It's going good. I feel like I'm having a good morning.
I
What?
am too. I've had a productive morning. I'm on Central Time, so I've been working for just an hour basically, but I've gotten a lot done in an hour. So I've gotten some tickets answered. I started preparation and finished preparation for this stream. To be fair, I mean that's for a stream like this totally fine. I just jotted some notes down about what I wanted to talk about and in what order. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I do have a cold, so I might sound like I have a cold. But yeah, other than that, it's good morning for me too. Um, uh, Pilot just DM'd me and my audio is clicky and fuzzy. Sorry, I'm gonna just pull that right out into the
That's
open.
yeah. All right.
I've had weird audio issues. So hold on one
It's not.
sec.
It's not super bad. I just figured I would mention, like, if there was a small thing you could tweak
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but possibly. Um, Let me look.
on the topic of how we prep for our live streams. Taylor has a bunch of. Well, I don't know if you're using OBS right now, but
I'm
Taylor
not right now, but
okay,
yeah.
has a lot of different video. I was gonna say tweaks, but that's tricks, magic tricks. Um,
Yeah, something is up with my audio setup, and um, it seems to be different applications. I've been having trouble with it all week, and I haven't really had time to troubleshoot. It seems like different applications have different tolerance levels. So StreamYard, I guess I get some clicks and pops and stuff, and I've had things like Jitsi where it just doesn't work, just period. No,
Fantastic. Okay.
no working at all. Um, I am gonna try something really quick here that will likely, you know, um, make me muted for a second. So sorry about that.
In that case, it's time to vamp, but unfortunately, the only thing I can think of is to ask people in Discord how their Friday mornings are going. How's your Friday morning going? Uh, Anybody who's watching. Um, the stream is on a
Yeah,
delay. This is
anybody's
not my
watching.
this is not my best tactic. Uh,
Yeah, it's all right. So I did something. I don't know if it'll improve
oh, you're
anything,
immediately
but
better.
oh, perfect. That's good to know. Yeah. So okay, cool. Well, I have some things to track down after the stream, but I'll take this for now. So what we're talking about today is, and honestly, talking about technical issues at the front of this, very nice segue into what we're actually going to talk about, which is this stream is called A Stream About How We Run Our Streams. And this is one I've been wanting to do for a while, and we've even had folks in Discord kind of ask, like, hey, it would be kind of cool to have like a little video about how you all like what you all do for your Friday streams to make them happen. So that's this. We're gonna we're gonna talk about what we do. Some of it is tools, like what tools do we do. Some of it is, um, well, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of that. But that's what we're gonna do. And I've been told to start with the demo. That's what I've always been told. So here is the demo. If you're watching this, you're also looking at the demo. But our every Friday we stream, and I guess one thing I didn't even consider to mention is that we always put our streams on an event calendar, and we do this typically. We plan out our streams 1 month at a time. So we basically, like in this case, last week we figured out what we want to do for the month of July as a team. And then so I put them on the calendar, and we use the event calendar plugin on a WordPress site. So that part is pretty straightforward. And then we also put them in Discord so that people get a nice little notification if they're on our Discord. So that's step one, is the scheduling. But once that's done, the video has to go somewhere. And this is going to get increasingly complicated in terms of picture-in-picture here. But we stream every Friday, and it shows up in two places. And that's kind of the main thing we're going to talk about today. We stream to both YouTube and our own Owncast site, which is on ReclaimTV. And this is kind of important for us. We used to stream we've streamed to lots of different places over time, but YouTube has been a constant. We have quite a bit of video on YouTube. We have some people subscribing to us. Some of our videos have actually a lot of views, particularly some of our flex course videos on like particular tools. So we really want to maintain a presence there. Also, like, you know, it's YouTube. It's where people watch video on the internet. I think it makes sense to be there. So that's thing one is we stream to YouTube. So I've got this muted, but of course you can go there. If you haven't heard of YouTube, it's a cool site. Lots of video.
I just got the banners completely inverted. So the YouTube banner is going to be up right now. ReclaimTV was just up.
Well, that's all right. The other place we stream, like I said, is our Owncast site on Reclaim.tv. And this is simultaneous. So our stream goes out to both places. We push almost everyone to Reclaim.tv, and we'll talk about why we do that over time. But hold on, I'm just writing a note down of something I want to make sure I mention. This is kind of our main presence for live video is Reclaim.tv. First of all, it's just a fantastic URL, I think. And we're pretty big fans of Owncast. We use a lot of self-hosted and open source video tools around here. We'll talk about more of them over time. In today, I mean. But Owncast is one that I'm particularly fond of. It is a really straightforward and streamlined tool in a lot of ways. All it does is receive video from a source like OBS or like StreamYard, like what we use, which we'll get to more. And it displays it, and it has a live chat function. And then I shouldn't say all it does, because it does do a little bit more than that. But that's the main purpose of it. It is a single page from a public perspective. We have talked about Owncast before. If I go to our reclaimed.tech site, we've got a flex course on open media ecosystems. And this would be a particularly relevant thing to check out if you want more information after today's stream. We talk about all the tools all of the open source tools that we're going to talk about today are represented here, and some others, including Jitsi, Azuracast as well. So I'm really proud of this this flex course. I'm proud of all our flex courses, but I think this is a really neat tour of the landscape. So you can check that out if you want more. But yeah, we use Owncast for this, and it's great. I really like that it first of all, it's rock solid. I can tell you we've literally never had an issue with the video on Owncast. And it can do things like encode video at different qualities for people to watch. It's very simple to configure as far as a video tool goes. We'll talk about PeerTube more later. PeerTube is a pretty complicated tool to administer in some ways. Owncast really isn't, in my experience. And then the final thing I like about Owncast is because it has Fediverse integration. So you can follow our Reclaim.tv website on Mastodon or other Fediverse-enabled tools like PixelFed, Threads soon. Threads doesn't, I don't think, let you follow other people not on Threads, but they're slow. Threads is slowly integrating Fediverse features.
Okay.
So that's really cool. And you might wonder, like, well, how does that work? Basically, you just go to whatever your Fediverse tool you want to use is. I use Mastodon, and you type in the URL. That's it. And then you can see I'm already followed here. And in this case, you can see what the posts look like. So when we go live, this happens automatically. It posts a little thing that says we're live. And I just typed in that message to be the same every time, but you can technically change it before you go live. You can set a custom message if you want to. And then we have our like hashtags, our categories that we stream at. And then it posts a link and posts a little GIF of the of what's happening at that moment, which is I think really cool. Um, I just now realizing it says alt. Does it have alt text? I
I
don't
don't
actually
know if we
100%
can.
know how to check that here. I don't know how it would. Honestly, I'm not sure what it would put in there for alt text. So, whatever. Um, but maybe I can provide it with alt text that it could
Mhm.
use every time. That's kind of cool though. But yeah, I love this. It's a very simple thing, and it's important to us. So we're not going to go super far into it. I think most people who watch our videos probably understand why it would be important for us to self-host aspects of our video platform. We really believe in that. We're a web hosting company. We think it's important for important stuff to be in your control. Um, and But I will say, we've got this presentation that we've been offering at a few different conferences. I think we're going to do a stream version of it soon called Reclaiming Our Socials. Or sorry, we're going to do a community chat
I was going
around
to
it.
say that's the community chat for
Yeah.
July.
And if you're curious about, you know, more of the philosophy behind some of these technical things we're explaining today, that might be a good place to
Yeah.
check out. You can find community chats on our event calendar. So, um, yeah, you also can use browser notifications here, and I know I'm gonna sweat the small stuff here, honestly, because I think it's important. The way these buttons are implemented, I think, are really nice. So, first of all, I love that there is a follow button. You don't have to just know, oh, this tool is Fediverse enabled, and know that you have to copy paste a URL. If you don't know, maybe you know what Mastodon is, but you're not like you don't know a lot about Fediverse tools because why would you, honestly, unless you're a weirdo nerd like I am. Uh, but
Taylor, I think you're underestimating our audience.
well, I'm just saying like some of these things are not necessarily very discoverable,
That's true.
unless
Yeah.
you're like in it. I love there's a
I
follow
don't know
button.
what's going on right now. I'm here to learn. So
And it just says, hey, follow Reclaim TV. By following the stream, you'll get notified on the Fediverse. Now is a great time to learn about the Fediverse if it's new to you. And it links to their own little, it redirects to the Fediverse wiki, which is a whole explanation about what this thing is. And I love that. That's just how Owncast works, by the way. I didn't make that. That's just built in.
that's really nice. I
And
like
it
that.
even lets you, if you have a Fediverse handle, it lets you type this in. So you can go Taylor oh my gosh, I'm not actually 100% sure what is it Taylor Jaden? Wow. I think I
Let
used
me
my
go pull
full
up
name,
your profile.
but I can hit follow and then it will take me over to yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That it is my full name. It'll take you over to the correct page in your Fediverse tool of your choosing, which is really neat. It's a little bit like there are other tools like this. Share Openly is a really great one that I've been seeing around the blogosphere recently. It does a similar thing. So let's say I wanted to share my blog. It'd say, cool, where do you want to share this to? And you could say one of these, or you could say, oh yeah, this is my instance is DS106 social. So I'll type that in and it will take you to a nice little share page, basically.
That's fun.
So I just love that. And then furthermore, we've got our past videos available in both of these places as well. So right below the video player, there's a little grid of our recent videos, and then you can click on more to see all of them, which goes to our PeerTube. You can also search from here. And of course, all our videos are also available on YouTube. So if you go to the videos tab, these are uploaded videos, and then there are live videos. Those are separate. I really don't like that YouTube makes them separate, but that's a thing. I wish they could all just be in one place, but it's not that important.
That's why we use PeerTube.
It's why we use our tools because we have control over them, right? So, but yeah, they're here as well. So that's really the demo is me to say we've got YouTube, we have Reclaim.tv, we stream to both places simultaneously. Now we're going to get into how that actually works because doing this the wrong way, and I should say before we kind of arrived at the workflow we're using today, we weren't streaming in both places because it was kind of too much of a pain. So, excuse me, sorry. I should have muted. I'm normally good on the cough muting, but whatever. but we kind of come up with a workflow that works for us. So I'm going to kind of sketch it out on a literal diagram, and then we're going to kind of briefly touch on each tool as it gets on the diagram. So in the grand tradition of me over explaining, that's what we're going to do. So I
was going to say, are we going to Excalidraw?
I'm going to use Excalidraw. I'm such a fan of this thing. So
And it's got an Obsidian
yes,
plugin.
I'm not going to use the Obsidian plugin today,
No.
but I do use it for my own stuff, which is neat because Excalidraw is a great drawing, sketching, diagramming tool, and you can use the Obsidian plugin to use it inside your Obsidian vault, and then they stay in there. They're automatically saved in there, which is super cool. Anyway, we're going to call this the how our streams work. So, great. We'll put this up here. And so the video starts out from StreamYard. That's a tool that we use here. So we use StreamYard.com. I don't know if links exist in Excalidraw. It looks like no. So I'm actually going to do this. Do StreamYard. And so all video starts here. We are using StreamYard right now. I'm going to close some tabs I don't need at the moment. And I'm actually going to just show you a little bit of what it looks like. I'm not going to share our screen because that would be really confusing. So this isn't like a full tour of StreamYard. But StreamYard is a really neat tool. I'm going to have to log out to show the home page, I think. Or maybe I can do this.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you
Yes,
can do
here
a
we go.
container tab.
Yeah. Okay. It's basically like a cloud-hosted, simplified OBS, basically. So it is a video compositing tool. It's a video tool. And you basically, wow, their homepage really does not have much detail in terms of what the tool looks like, but it will give you an overview. I'm actually just gonna skip right ahead to the back end of the tool that we're using. But basically, we create our live streams in here. You can see that we've got one right now. But let's say I was setting one up for, I don't know, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, but this will be our test one. So I say, hey, create a live stream, and you actually can upload a pre-recorded video, and it will like stream that video out, which we've used for certain things, but we don't use a lot. We
mostly use that for workshops if there's like a pre-recorded session.
We typically for workshops use YouTube's Premiere feature for a couple reasons.
True.
But we may return to using it for this. But there's some details about why we did it that way for workshops that may change in the future. But normally we're using the studio feature, which lets us live produce video. So then from here, we've got a whole bunch of destinations set up, including DS106 TV, BavaCast, Bava.tv. I believe BavaCast is Jim's Owncast, and Bava.tv is Jim's PeerTube. And then there's DS106 TV, which is also a PeerTube. We've got Jim's YouTube account. We have our YouTube account and ReclaimTV. So you can add a lot of different destinations in here, and I believe StreamYard will do up on the plan we're at, which I think we're on their top plan. They only have like 2 plans. They do up to 6 simultaneously. They'll stream 2, which is kind of interesting. We only need 2, so I hit those 2. I give it a title. To be honest, I normally just grab it from the event calendar. In fact, you know what? We're going to set up next week's stream right now. So we'll set up the July 5th stream. So I usually literally grab it from the event calendar. I grab our description, post it in there, and then I hit schedule for later. And this is important because this will publish the stream up as an announcement on our YouTube page, so that people who are on our YouTube page, they get this little thing that says like, oh, their next stream is planned for July 5th, which is just kind of nice. If we don't do this, no announcement will happen. No one on YouTube will see it until it starts, basically. So we usually hit that. I pick the date. In this case, it's gonna be July 5th, and it's in my time zone, so it's 9 a.m., but 10 a.m. Eastern. We can upload a thumbnail. I normally don't. We probably should, but I normally don't. Um, and there are actually reasons why I do that. We could go with a generic thumbnail, but then all of our videos would have the same thumbnail. And I actually kind of like that YouTube grabs a thumbnail from a few minutes into the video
It
after
makes
the
everything
stream
look
is over.
unique, I was going to say.
Yeah. So
That's
if we wanted to make this, as optimized as possible, we would have unique designed thumbnails every week. But that is not what we're going for. We're going for ease of use and low barrier of time and effort. So
Taylor and I are busy.
yeah, exactly. For perspective, I did this process I'm showing here 5 minutes before today's stream. Normally, I try to do it earlier so that it's up there ahead of time, but in this case, I was a little bit behind. So yeah, so that's pretty simple. I hit customize for each destination.
By the way, just a quick plug for this. Jim's going to be hosting next week's.
Yes, Jim is going to be hosting next week a somewhat of a trilogy of Windows 98 related streams with Jim. So maybe the stunning conclusion. You should tune in. So anyway, yeah, so this is just like a final confirmation step. And then we hit create. And so when it does that, it creates an entry in StreamYard. But it also goes and makes it on YouTube for us, which is super neat. I don't have to go to the YouTube dashboard and manually make an event. In fact, I can even click on this and go view on YouTube, and it will pop over to the page it made. And so you can see here, live in 6 days, July 5th, 9 a.m. Again, my time zone. So that's super neat. And again, it seems like a small thing. It's really not. It really is a big time saver to be able to have one place to make these things. In fact, if you make a mistake and you need to edit it or delete it, it can optionally update it on YouTube for you as well, which is super cool.
I think it'll edit it might not change the title or description, or I've been doing it wrong because
It's possible. I honestly, I don't often have to edit it.
Okay.
But I have deleted them before, and I believe when you delete them, it asks you if you want to delete it on YouTube as well. So that may be a little bit incomplete, but it is a big time saver for it to create it like this. And you may be wondering, you're talking a lot about the YouTube part, not a lot about Reclaim.tv. Well, that's because Owncast doesn't really have a concept of any of these things. Owncast is just, are you live or not? And Owncast can optionally have a little field where you can say what you're streaming about. We don't use that, basically. So anyway, so I made it in StreamYard, and I can hit Enter Studio, and I'm in a different browser, so this shouldn't break anything, theoretically.
Honestly, you might even be able to go into a container tab if you needed to, but.
Well, I'm in a different browser entirely, so I use Chrome.
Ooh, Taylor, it did not it got mad that you were trying to do audio in a couple places at once.
Okay. Am I back now?
No. Or I can hear you. You are like a little mouse. You're very quiet. This is another thing, is StreamYard does have some options for controlling audio within the application, which is maybe, something we take for granted, but it's still nice. I'm trying to think. The noise cancellation, I remember being pretty aggressive, but I think you're back.
Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Yes. All right. Well, I changed audio device. Hopefully that does something. But anyway, this is kind of what it looks like. Obviously, there's no one in here. There's nothing happening. And we're not going to spend a lot of time in StreamYard, but it is just to kind of give people an idea of what we see. It's this little video workshop tool. We can like change layouts. We can share our screen, do all kinds of things like that. So, and then we hit go live from here. And in fact, you can upload little clips. So we've got our countdowns in here uploaded. We've got our end card, which is just a video that Pilot made the image, and I turned it into a video by adding some music and VHS effects to it, basically. So
and it's 3.5 minutes long so that we can run it because
Yeah.
we'll never need to run it for that
You
long.
don't
So
need to run it for the whole time. I just made it the length of time that the song I used was, which, by the way, I use copyright-free music, especially because our stuff ends up on YouTube. So um, there's a couple things I can recommend if people are looking for that kind of thing. Stream Beats is awesome. There's other sources for this, and then backing track. Copyright. It's not greatly named, to be honest with you. Backing track, because that's like a thing. Here we go.
what?
So these are both projects from like YouTube folks that I follow that do a lot of stuff around like video production, and they're just completely free to use things. They publish music, and you can use it for all kinds of different purposes. And then they have a subscription that gets you more access for Stream Beats, and backing track is a little bit more of a homegrown thing, but it's similar. So our and then it's backingtrack.gg is the other website. Our countdowns here use I'm not on the countdowns. Our countdowns here use a track from Stream Beats, and our end card uses a track from backing track. So but that's kind of my go-to when I need music for a video project. It's just really good, and it's legally uncomplicated to use. So not only is it like they publish a license, but they actually have it like whitelisted in YouTube's DMCA tools so that you're not going to get flagged. So
That's lovely.
Cool. Yeah.
These guys are I guess you could say they're the backing track bone of the internet.
You could say that.
It was weak.
one could say that, Pilot.
I spent 30 seconds working in my head, and it didn't improve.
So basically we hit go live here. I'm not going to do that yet. But you can, I don't know why you'd stream at a lower resolution, but you
internet speed. Your audio, you've returned to the.
I'm
Yep.
out of there, but people get the point. It is kind of like OBS.
Taylor, your audio's gone super quiet again. You were not kidding when you were saying this is not your week for audio. I was.
No, it's not good. Is it back? Yeah,
you're back.
It's not good, and showing an audio tool while using another one is a bad idea. But anyway, yeah, it's a really great little platform, and it lets us stream out. First of all, it lets us stream to multiple places from our perspective seamlessly. So when I hit go live in StreamYard, we don't do anything on YouTube or Reclaim.tv. It just starts working. All we had to do was link our YouTube account ahead of time, and we had to put a stream key in, which is a kind of like a standardized thing. It's a somewhat of a standard that both Reclaim TV, so Owncast, and StreamYard know how to talk, basically. So we basically just had to put that in, and I clicked both buttons when setting up the thing, and then we hit go live. And so that's really simple. I don't have to like manage the stream. I don't have our YouTube dashboard up. I'm not even normally logged into Owncast. So that's really nice. So that's the first and probably, in some ways, the biggest part of this. So video starts with StreamYard, and then it goes to YouTube and Owncast. So from there, it goes to Owncast, Reclaim.tv, and YouTube. YouTube.com/@reclaimhosting. Delete that little speck. So let's do some arrows.
This is awesome. Excalidraw is super cool.
It's so great. Plus, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this will, yeah. Cool.
Oh, nice.
So that's where our videos start. And I should say that this is all live video. That's what we're talking about for right now. So, and then if you've done any streaming with YouTube before, you may know that it excuse me.
YouTube, I think picking up where you were going to leave off, YouTube will save the recording of
Yes.
your live stream automatically.
Yes. Yeah, so and you can tell it not to, but we specifically want it to do that. And so this is where live video goes. YouTube saves recording. So from here, we're gonna start another box basically. So here is we're gonna call this stream archives, I guess. But these are just after the stream is over, right? And so from YouTube, it makes a YouTube video. And I'll just put the word YouTube video in here.
Easier than trying to.
Yeah, maybe YouTube has a name for this. Trying to think here. Might have a term. Whoops. I didn't put a slash in my URL. There we go. So on the live tab, all of the past streams show up. Yeah, not sure
You're gonna have autoplay.
what.
Oh, but you're not sharing audio, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's youtube.com/watch?v equals and then
Yeah, it
some
just
random
becomes
string.
a
But
YouTube
yeah,
video effectively. So
yeah,
yeah, the
Same as all.
the live streams become YouTube videos, and then from there we do more with it. So we use PeerTube to save a copy of everything on our YouTube channel. So that shows up at archive.reclaim.tv. This is our PeerTube instance. And really only we use it, although I will say I think mine and Jim's PeerTubes are also syndicated into here, but not on this recently added, not on this homepage, I believe. So anyway, you can go through here. First of all, I really like that we can just display all of this in line. And if folks want to use something that's not owned by Google in terms of tracking, we don't track anything on here. There are play counts, but we don't have any analytics on here other than that. And also the search is just nice and fast and good. And it's nice for me because I can go here and just go to, one simple URL and just be like, when did we talk about AzuraCast? Here we go. There's 3 videos we have that mention AzuraCast in the title or description. I would love someday, I think this is way off. It would be a lot for a tool like this, but it would be neat if it could search transcripts of videos, but it doesn't currently. PeerTube does not make transcripts on videos the way YouTube can. So that's one downside. But yeah, super nice. And it's a video player. I mean, it's kind of what you expect. There's multiple qualities that you can select from. This is a real old one. Oh, in fact, this one's from my PeerTube that's syndicated in. So that's
so that's before ReclaimTV really got
well before
solidified. Yeah.
This is me messing around with Docker for like some of the first time. Actually, this is me like, I want to learn about Docker. So anyway, yeah, so super neat. And we're big fans of PeerTube as well. You also can manually upload videos to PeerTube, of course, but we're using PeerTube's tool, and I'm going to log in really quick here. We're using PeerTube's feature that lets it sync a YouTube channel. So we, in our channels thing, go to My Synchronizations, our YouTube channel is in here, and it pulls for updates from our YouTube channel on a recurring basis. Now, this feature works sometimes, a lot of the time, I would even say, but it is, in our experience, not super reliable. So what is nice here is we were able to do this and then get started and basically pull a whole copy of our YouTube channel. And you may be like, that's a lot of video. Yeah, it is. Look here, there's a history of 337 pages of videos that it's pulled in over time.
Some of those will be failures.
Yes.
I did go back through and delete
Yeah, so this is
periodically I go
every
through and get
time
rid
it's
of
tried
those.
to import something, including times it was unsuccessful, which there'll be
Yes.
some of. In some cases, a lot of actually. So
What
this
happens
feature
is
is
it's pulling like once an hour, and if there's something that's blocking it from pulling, the failures will fill up because it's once an hour until it succeeds.
yeah, it is definitely it's a really cool feature that PeerTube released like about a year or so ago. And it's neat. It is I would call I would say it's unfinished, but it works well enough for us to make this whole thing a lot easier because that means we don't have to upload our YouTube, we don't have to upload videos to two places. In fact, we don't have to upload videos at all, right? Because YouTube saves a copy of our live stream. In fact, I'm going to call this live stream archive. And so it really makes it a lot simpler for us to manage. So from YouTube, the video then goes to PeerTube. So let me add another thing here. PeerTube.
There's a giant spider like on my desk. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. So it goes to PeerTube using PeerTube's channel sync feature. Automatically. And I'll kind of mention the caveats here, especially while Pilot is away, because Pilot is all too familiar with these. Pilot and I are probably the main people who end up troubleshooting this. But basically, there are some limitations to the sync feature. So we have it set up as what's called a full synchronization. So it went and we set this up a long time ago. It looks like August of 2023, so about a year ago. And at that time, I had it pull down every single YouTube video. It took a while, but it did all of it, which is really neat. And then what it will do is it will periodically check for new videos every hour. And there are some problems with that. So it seems to have problems if I think this bug has been fixed actually recently, but in the past we've seen issues where if you had any announced streams like in the future, it was unable to do the sync at all. So we would have to manually import them, which we can talk about how that works too. But I believe that's fixed. We haven't had that issue pop up in a while. The other thing is it can't pull in videos that aren't fully processed yet, which is a thing. So YouTube needs processing time. So basically when the stream is over, it is available. It's kind of a weirdly technical thing, but it's available in a certain video format. And then YouTube makes it available in other formats that basically play nicer on other types of devices and stuff. And that takes time. It takes hours. And PeerTube can't actually import the video until it's got it available in a format that the tool it uses knows how to ingest, basically. So that is why in the past you might have seen that it would be days later. That was because basically it would fail and time out. It would try so many times and then be like, I give up. And then we would go in and manually tell it to try again. Recently, it started working better. And I don't know if that's actually YouTube or PeerTube. I think it may actually be both. I think they've fixed some bugs with this. And then also YouTube's transcoding time seems to be much faster recently. But it's still like a few hours out. So there's usually a couple hour time delay between when our stream is ended and when it's available on PeerTube. Typically, it'll be like early next morning it'll be available. But again, we don't have to do anything. It just usually just happens. If for some reason there's a problem with import, and again, I said recently it's been working pretty well for us, we can go in here, click this button, and say, hey, fully synchronize. And it will basically just check to find any missing videos, and it will try again. Or we can come and get the YouTube URL we want. And so if I go to our channel again, I can just get a URL of a video that it's missing, grab that, and then go to publish, and then import with URL. And if I give it that URL and hit import, PeerTube will pull in the video and all the metadata, which is super neat. It does take it a little bit.
Yeah. And technically speaking, you have to check all the metadata over and then say, yeah, this all
And
looks
then you hit,
good,
yeah,
and
and
then
then
you
you hit
hit
update and it
fully.
will actually pull the
Mhm.
video down. We're not going to do this. We already have this on ours. But the neat thing is it's also smart enough that once you've imported a video like this, it's not going to try again using this sync feature. Which was a worry of mine. Like, are we going to end up with duplicates? And the answer is no, not really. So as long as you're using the import with URL feature, it's aware that, oh, I've tried that one already. If you were to grab the video and upload it, I expect it wouldn't.
It wouldn't check. It wouldn't look for duplicates because
Yeah,
it's not.
because it would have to like analyze the video to even
Yeah.
decide. So that works really nicely for us. And like I said, there was a few months back where Pilot and I were basically every week manually putting that video in the publish tool here with import with URL. But even that is not that onerous, honestly, to do. And nowadays it is, yeah. So that's just telling that was the thing we did before with the metadata. Should be good. But even that is not too bad. And I will say nowadays the channel sync feature is working much better for us. So that is huge. And this means that we get to have our YouTube archive, of course, where probably most people are watching the videos, and our own self-hosted version, which is running PeerTube. By the way, PeerTube is also Fediverse integrated, so you can actually follow that. You can follow it as an RSS feed, which if you want to, which is neat. But you can also just follow the actual PeerTube instance. And this is a little bit more weird and complicated with PeerTube because PeerTube is kind of designed so that multiple people would use it. We are using it sort of for one channel, but there are, as you can see here, multiple feeds to follow. In our case, they're all going to show the same thing. So if I go here, you can see that the last video just gets added to my timeline, which is neat. And then if I go to this bottom link where it says, oh, to see more, browse it on the original place, it literally just goes to PeerTube. So really neat that it has that Fediverse integration so you could follow it and get like notifications in your Mastodon client if you wanted to, or just see it in your timeline. So really cool. And I think for us, I feel it's important that like we as a web hosting company are doing this. If we're going to be doing video, I think we also should be demonstrating what I think is a good and sustainable way to use both hostable tools that are Fediverse integrated, that are not, subject to the tracking and business interests of Google necessarily, while also being available on YouTube. I think it's very important we're also available on YouTube because I think that's where most people are. YouTube's experience of having automatic transcriptions is fantastic. I really like that, and I hope that's something that PeerTube can have someday. Not right now, but someday. So it all together, I think we get to play this nice balance with this setup that we've got here, back to Excalidraw, of we have essentially with some setup and toying around, we've landed on this, which is we go to StreamYard, we click go, we've got two places where the videos show up, and then two places where the live video shows up, and then without doing anything extra, two places where the stream archives show up, which is super neat.
And technically, if you wanted to add another arrow in there, if you guys remember, the archive.reclaim.tv in PeerTube gets embedded into Reclaim, not the actual videos, but links to everything
Yes.
get embedded into reclaim.tv so that everything can be in a central space that way.
Yeah, so we use PeerTube's API to do this. So this is some of the most like web-facing API work I've done. It's not particularly complicated, but it was a really nice project for me to learn how to do, and I was able to model it after a lot of the code and web design that Tom Woodward made for us for our community site. So I basically looked at how he did the calendar and the latest videos. I believe he's using the PeerTube API for this. And I was basically able to come up with something that would fit our needs here and a little bit different design for it. But this is super neat because, yeah, what I like about this is for most people, we don't have to explain, oh, we're in 3 places and you can follow us here and here and here. It's just like go to reclaim.tv. that's where you'll go. And if they go here and they notice the YouTube button, cool. They'll land on YouTube. They also may check out the live stream here. They also may scroll down and see all of our recent videos and then click on more. It becomes like one home for our video stuff that is relatively effortless for us to maintain. And if you're curious about the API stuff, I do actually have a blog post on what I did here, including the code is largely unchanged, but I do have a GitHub where that's always up to date. So this is what we're currently using. Yeah, I haven't actually changed this in months, so but the code is here if you ever want to glance at it to see how we do it. But basically, I've got here's how I embedded PeerTube videos at the bottom of the page. There's some just some JavaScript, and then a little bit of HTML that basically where the JavaScript will act on. And then I've got some CSS for it. And then I also did, the final thing we haven't talked about is we integrated Discord as a chat. So Owncast has a built-in chat. And it's nice and pretty simple to use, but we really wanted to use Discord for a handful of reasons. Obviously, again, it's about, I think, combining our efforts. Like we put some effort into making the Discord a space that people want to use. So this makes sense to have the conversation in a place that we're already using. So people can use this widget, and it's nice. It's using WidgetBot, which is a free tool that I think we might look at paying for. But wow, okay. So one thing is WidgetBot sometimes gets broken by like my tracker blocking stuff. So that's one downside to it. But anyway, it is just a nice Discord embedding tool, basically. So people can see the chat right here. And I like this because if someone doesn't want to actually use Discord, they can still at least see the chat from here. And there is, of course, YouTube's chat as well. We don't really use it. I think sometimes people will post on there. We can see it in StreamYard and respond to it, but we really try to push everyone to ReclaimTV for the conversation. So my blog post also talks about how I did that, and basically this is code I'm not proud of, honestly. But basically it uses an iframe that WidgetBot provides, and I kind of like rip parts of Owncast out on the fly. So basically it checks to see like, is a certain part of the page, does it exist, which means that we're live? And if it does, replace Owncast's chat with Discord's chat. If you're thinking this through from like a technical perspective, you may go like, well, why replace it? Like, doesn't that mean Owncast's chat is technically like running in the background? And the answer is yes, it totally is. We could turn it off, but I'm actually using some of the user interface that Owncast provides. So this little sidebar, Owncast provides that, and this resizing thing just works, which is really kind of neat. So by me replacing the visual stuff of their chat with our Discord embed, we get to benefit from a lot of that. This also means it works really well on mobile too. I do a slightly different thing on mobile, but basically this chat button pops up when we're live. And if you click on it, it'll load the Discord embed, which is super neat. Again, I've got a blog post on the technical stuff of that if you're curious. And I have that GitHub, so I'm sure at some point it will break and I'll have to update it because that's how this stuff works. But that will always have the most up-to-date actual code. And so, yeah, so adding the final thing onto our Excalidraw here, and that is the stream archives get embedded back to Owncast via the API. And I'm kind of breaking my own little rule here, but I'll just type the word API here. How about that? I
think it works.
This
Makes
is
sense.
maybe not the most coherent diagram, but I think it somewhat proves the point. Yeah, and I guess I could add Discord chat too. Discord chat, WidgetBot. That goes into Reclaim.tv as well. And credit to Owncast. The reason we're able to kind of get fancy with our Discord chat and the API stuff is Owncast is a relatively simple application. So this was easier for me to modify and add on to the user interface in ways where it would have been more difficult to do with PeerTube. So yeah, that is how our streams work. That's all the tools we use on a weekly basis. I think the beauty of it is, while it is kind of complicated looking at it like this, for us, once we've set it up, we really just go to StreamYard and hit go. So that makes this sustainable for us. I'd be curious to see. I haven't seen anyone else, but I haven't been looking far and wide, but I haven't seen anyone else who's doing quite what we're doing, where they're using both Owncast and YouTube simultaneously, and PeerTube for archives. What I see most people doing is they typically pick one place to go live, and then maybe they put their videos in multiple places. And we're doing this a little bit differently. So I'm really curious to see if anyone out there is doing something like this. Maybe not with exactly the same tools, maybe the videos going to different places, but hearing about what their workflows are. But this is how we do it to make it somewhat easy. And like I said, I think it was really important to me when we were kind of thinking about what was year 2 of Reclaim EdTech going to look like. And we decided we wanted to focus on, more informal video stuff. It was really important to me that our video could be in both YouTube and someplace that we owned and controlled, and doing it in a way that we were happy to like demonstrate, basically, of like, let's use tools that we like and can recommend, basically. And so this is kind of how we landed on all that.
Yeah, I think if we were only streaming to one place, and we picked Owncast as well, because like you were saying, Owncast doesn't have a local video feature. So StreamYard can record and save it. I say
Yes.
locally. It's not, to your local machine, but StreamYard will.
It saves a copy.
It saves a copy in your library.
Mm-hmm.
But what that would mean is if we chose Owncast as our platform of choice, then we would have to be downloading and uploading and doing the metadata, all that stuff, into PeerTube, or moving it into YouTube, which would make even less sense, because in that case, why not just broadcast to YouTube? But this is a really nice, slick little loop that it works. It's really good.
Yeah, and it's been working for us like this, largely unmodified, for a year, basically. So I think we're not stopping with this. In fact, I want to maybe move more things. I want to imagine how we might move more things into this. So one thing that we're not using, like in this manner, is, well, there's 2 things that I'm interested in. So we do have certain types of video events that we don't really use Owncast for right now. So we don't use it for our Flex courses. Those premiere on YouTube using YouTube's Premiere feature.
Because those sessions are pre-recorded.
Yes. I'd like to change that, but there are some caveats there's some reasons why we don't do it that way right now. But it may be something where we can use StreamYard's ability to grab a video file and broadcast it. We could use that to go to Owncast. I do think it is nice, though, for our purposes, to have YouTube still be maybe the primary place we point people to for those. And for the only reason I say that is YouTube's transcriptions. I think the value of having a closed captioning on what are a little bit more thought out, like educational content, is I think more important to those videos. And it's nice that we typically can put our YouTube videos up in place and then link to them, and then the link never changes. Whereas, Reclaim TV, so Owncast, it's really designed to be one place where all your live video goes. So I'm not 100% sure about that. And to be honest, we already have a solution for this. So we, on watch.reclaim, our watch sites that we use. So Open Publishing Ecosystems was a recent Flex course from the fall. And we have this whole interface, right? That makes it easy to browse and use YouTube. So I don't really want to move away from this. We like this. Maybe there's things that we'll add on to it. But this is not something I want to go away from. But I maybe want to think about like, well, what would it mean to integrate in the Fediverse in some way here? Not 100% sure. Now, to be fair, once the videos are published, they do go on our PeerTube. So it's not like it's completely left out of this loop. But I don't know. We may end up changing nothing because honestly, that workflow does work pretty well for us too. It's a little bit different than this, but um, I'm always open to rethinking that kind of stuff. The other one I want to do is I like StreamYard a lot, but I'm not very happy with the video quality. And this is mostly not StreamYard's fault. StreamYard does 1080p resolution, which from a resolution perspective is completely fine for what we're doing. The problem is YouTube, when it encodes video, if it's at 1080p, it uses a very low bit rate, which means that some types of videos that you broadcast to YouTube end up looking like blocky and having artifacts in them. This is riddled. Like our streams have this all over the place. And that's just a matter of how YouTube does live streaming at 1080p. There's not really a way around this for us using this workflow. I would love if StreamYard offered higher resolutions, because then YouTube, it's a little bit silly, and I'm going into like video encoding stuff, not deep, but I'm just saying there's a difference between resolution and bitrate. The problem is, we need more bitrate for our videos to look better than they do right now, but we don't get to pick that when we go to YouTube. So
if we jumped up a step
in resolution, you
that
automatically
YouTube would
get more bitrate.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is a little bit silly, but it's a simplification thing that YouTube does. And it's funny. It's actually worse on videos when we had this background when it moved. It was worse because there were more encoding artifacts because of that. It's a little bit better now that we don't have that. So it's a kind of minor thing, but it's something I'd like to look into. Maybe StreamYard offers better video quality in the future. Or maybe for certain types of content, maybe flex courses, we use OBS for those, and use higher bitrate and higher resolution in OBS. But then we give up all of the ease of use and collaborative team features of StreamYard. So I wouldn't say we'd ever ditch StreamYard entirely. But if anyone in StreamYard ever sees this, I think we would be willing to pay a little bit more per month to have 4K uploads.
One thing that's also just nice about StreamYard versus OBS, and like, you know, we could figure something out, we could make it work. But one thing that's nice about StreamYard is that you can invite guests with a link.
Yeah, we would never, I mean, unless something better came along that completely replaced StreamYard, we would never fully swap out StreamYard for OBS. It would be too much of a hassle for our team. I like OBS, and you can do a lot with it, but this kind of Pilot and I talking to each other while sharing a screen type stuff is much more difficult on OBS. So I could see us using OBS for very specific things, like a particular episode of Flex Course where maybe we're doing a lot of terminal work and we wanted the text to just be crystal clear. But it would not be something that we would use often.
Yeah, it's also the other thing with OBS in particular is it's a lot more strain on the machine that's running it.
Yeah, I do have a little bit beefier laptop, so if I'm hosting it, it's really not much of an issue for me. But yeah, it can be definitely a consideration, and just simple fact that you're tied to one person's laptop, right? Like I was having audio issues, but if I had to drop out of the stream and like restart my computer, you could keep going while that was happening and just kind of vamping or whatever.
You can turn this entire stream into a
doing that in an OBS.
Tangent about mice and spiders. I don't know.
So anyway, so yeah, no, we're not ditching StreamYard, but I want to play with OBS a little bit more in the coming year for special things, basically. You know, we've used tools like video.ninja before to pull in guests into OBS, and that tool is really great. Our Flex course last summer on Reclaim Cloud and Docker Jim and I used exclusively OBS for that, and we were able to do some cool green screen type stuff.
2 summers ago. That was 2022.
Wow. Time. Uh, so this flex course we did entirely using, I believe entirely. Oh, that's loud for me, not for you probably.
No, can't hear a thing. You're not sharing your audio.
Yeah, that's fine. So we used OBS because we were able to do green screen stuff, and that was cool. And I'd like to get back to that for certain things. So you can see here, I actually wasn't using my green screen, and I think in session 2 maybe I started. Yeah. So that's kind of neat. We're even able to do this where it looks like we're kind of in the same room. You know, neat.
Totally forgot. I remembered that Jim used a green screen. I totally forgot for a while that you had a green screen.
I do. It's right on the back of my door over there, but it goes on the back of my chair. It is not a perfect solution, but it does work. But this is the type of thing that you really can't do in StreamYard right now. StreamYard does have green screen, like virtual green screen features and real green screen features, but you can't really like mix and match in the scene in the way that we are here. Actually, you know what? Maybe that's not true, but maybe I haven't looked at that right. But still, I also was able to do this one at really high quality. I went to 1440p for this one. I've done 4K in the past, and as a result, these broadcasts are really nice looking. So I don't know. It's not a high priority for me, but it's something I'd like to mess with some more. So anyway, we're over time, and this was I think for me, it was fun and honestly rather in-depth look at all of the stuff we do for streaming, how we make it sustainable and easy for us to do on a weekly basis. And, thanks, Pilot, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah,
I knew in my head all of the pieces, but I didn't think about how they all fit together like that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to blog this for a long time, and to be honest, I've been on like a writing dry spell. So at a certain point, I was like, let's just do this as a stream. Like that will work. I think Jim recently in a blog post called this collaborative video blogging. That's kind of how I feel about our Friday streams too. And so I'm glad we got it out there. I'm glad we made a little diagram. And we'll see everyone next week. I will say next week is Jim's Windows 98. The trilogy, or the third in the trilogy, I should say. I don't know if there will be a quadrilogy at some point. I think there will be.
Just a second trilogy.
Yeah, a second trilogy. Yeah, that's the Vogue thing to do, really.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll see you next time, and thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.